What's up, everyone? It's Tuesday, November 12th. We are here at in the heart of Times Square at Broadway.com headquarters. I'm Paul Wontorek.
And I'm Beth Stevens.
And we're joined by Caitlin Moynihan.
Hello.
And Beth, there's this fantastic off-Broadway musical.
Tell me more.
The Wrong Man. Everyone's
okay.
talking about it.
Yes.
Ryan Vasquez.
Woo!
He's going to tell us all about it. You may know him from Hamilton. He's basically played every role but Eliza. He was in Waitress. There's a lot to talk about. We'll get to him, but first, today's top 5.
And we have a closing date for this Tony-nominated musical.
Guys, Tootsie's closing. Tootsie is closing on the Broadway on January 5th at the Marquis Theater. It did win 2 Tony Awards, one for Santino Fontana, who is the star, and one for Robert Horn, who wrote the very funny book. Whenever I see Tootsie, I think of what my son says. He calls it Tootsie. It's not Tootsie, it's Tootsie. It's played 25 previews, and at the time of closing, will have played 293 regular performances, which is not too shabby.
Is there any good news? National tour.
Yes. Next year, next October, head to Buffalo. It might be a little chilly. And that will be the kickoff for the national tour at Shea's Buffalo Theater in Buffalo, New York. And then you can see it around the country.
And this actor is going from Gotham City to the Great White Way.
Ben McKenzie, you're talking about. Now, he was really big on the OC, right? Am I right about that? And Southland?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Getting
We got
thumbs
it.
up. I didn't
Getting
watch the
thumbs.
OC. I don't know, but people in the office
time
were
to
like,
catch up. You have time.
but yeah. And right now he's on Gotham. But he'll be joining the new Broadway comedy, Grand Horizons. Bess Wall wrote it, and this was the one they did up at Williamstown
Great
last
cast
summer.
in this.
And there was a great cast there, and some cast changes for Broadway. But he will be joining a cast that includes Jane Alexander, James Cromwell, Priscilla Lopez, Ashley Park, Michael Urie, and Malik Pancholi. Yeah. I'm sorry. Directed by Lee Silverman, the talented Tony nominee, Lee Silverman. This starts December 20th, which is actually pretty soon.
Yeah.
They must be starting rehearsals.
It must
Ashley
be.
Park better get back from Paris.
Paris.
Is she back? Come on. And it opens January 23rd at the Helen Hayes Theater.
And we got even more Broadway casting today. It's been a busy day.
It's been a busy day. We
day.
are talking about A Soldier's Play on Broadway. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, we have complete casting. So we already knew that Blair Underwood and David Allen Greer would be in this play, directed by Kenny Leon, the Tony winner. They will be joined by Jerry O'Connell, Billy Eugene Jones, Nnamdi Asomugha, McKinley Belcher III, Rob Demery, Jared Grimes. Remember Jared Grimes from After Midnight?
Of course.
Nate
He's
Mann.
a tapper
That's right.
and an actor.
And an actor. Warner Miller, J. Alphonse Nicholson, and Lee Aaron Rosen. This play begins previews on December 27th, just in time for the new year, and it opens January 21st at the American Airlines Theater.
Cool.
Very cool.
And audiences across the country are going to be able to experience a brand new Frozen song. And I'm jealous.
And you're not talking about Frozen 2, because
No.
Frozen 2 is about to come out, and there's a whole batch of new songs.
True.
And even Jonathan Groff got one. No, we're talking about the national tour of Disney's Frozen. Elsa and Anna have hit the road, and there's a brand new song. This kind of came as a surprise. Kristen Anderson Lopez announced it on Twitter. It's a new song called I Can't Lose You. It's a duet for the sisters, the troubled sisters. They troubled, estranged. There's issues.
Complicated.
It's
There's
complicated.
issues. They can't really hang out
Complicated.
like normal kids. Anyway, so it's in the national tour, and it was written exclusively for the tour, and it will open at in Hollywood at the Pantages Theater on December 4th. So that's a big run, obviously, for the show. But go check out Frozen on the road, and you get a bonus track. I wonder if they'll ever incorporate it into the Broadway production. That happens sometimes.
I think we need to make some calls. Find out.
You hear that, Paul?
Yes. And London theater fans, you better save this date.
The Olivier Awards are coming at you. This year, it's April 5th, 2020 at Royal Albert Hall. I've only been once.
I'm not ready for award season yet, Belle. Okay.
We don't have to say anything else, but winners of the 2019, last year's Olivier Awards, some of them are on Broadway right now. Most notably, The Inheritance,
Right.
which is about to open, and Company, which is
Right.
coming in the spring.
2 big winners.
Big ones.
What else is on the site? Saleha Pfeiffer, who's of course starting in Evita tomorrow.
I like how you say the T. Evita.
Tomorrow. She came in and sang "You Must Love Me." That's the song Edward Elber won an Oscar for.
Yes.
That Madonna premiered in the movie. A beautiful, beautiful rendition. And on latest clubbroadway.com, there's a new episode of Behind the Stripes.
Right. Andrew Barth Feldman shows us a day in the life of the Dear Evan Hansen star.
Cool.
From waking up
And
All the way out.
Jason Derulo, who's going to be in that Cats movie, which is it's really happening.
That Cats movie, huh?
It's done. We haven't, they dropped that trailer, and then are you okay? You have a giggle fit?
I'm just thinking about the
about-
video of Jason Derulo is hilarious.
It's about cats, and yeah, he was on Kelly Clarkson's show, and he taught Kelly and Nicole Byer how to be.
Do you guys want to see Caitlin? Caitlin's
and
It's
he,
a real
no,
thing,
no,
though.
he literally was like, I mean, Taylor Swift said they had to go to cat school. So.
Did you learn anything, Caitlin? You want to show us?
Jason Derulo. Okay, and on that note, Beth,
Thank you. I'm going to get out of here.
we're gonna Hey, Caitlin, why don't you tell everyone about today's guest?
Gladly. Yes, we got Ryan Vasquez here with us in the studio. He is currently in the Wrong Man off Broadway. It has extended a bunch, and everyone is loving it. Yeah, he's appeared in Broadway's Hamilton, Wicked, and Waitress. He's been a busy guy. He dropped a new single. He has a single called Pray. You can stream that everywhere. We're going to talk all about that. Make sure you follow him on social media at It's Ryan Vasquez, not another Ryan Vasquez. It's him. Make sure you leave all of your questions in the comments below, and please welcome Ryan and Paul.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. How are things over? What's that new space called? The MCC Theater?
Yeah. It's a brand new building.
Beautiful.
Alice by Heart was the first musical that they
Right.
did there. So yeah, and we're the second. It's a really like state of the art theater that they were able to like rip up and add seats on stage and do LED lights around the back. Like it's a really flexible space. So it's been really cool.
It's very comfy too.
Yeah,
It's great
yeah,
seats.
Yeah. And that's what it's all
a really,
about, baby.
It's a real experience going to see The Wrong Man.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, because you're kind of the audience is all around you, and it feels
yeah.
very open, and it's beautifully staged, and the songs are amazing. Let's talk about this show. How long have you been involved with it?
Yeah, so a little over a year ago,
Okay.
Tommy Kail, who's directing it, who also directed Hamilton, obviously, came into my dressing room. I was on as Hamilton, and he was like, "Hey, man, I think you're gonna want to like get a listen to the show. Like, you should come to just like a low key reading. This guy can really write. The guy who wrote it, and it's the kind of music that makes Josh Henry like." Kind of like wince at how good it is almost. And I was like, okay. So I went and did this reading. It was super low key. It was just like a few of us singing through the music. And like immediately when you hear the music, if you've seen the show, like immediately you're like, okay, this is pretty good. And it wasn't until like after I had heard some of the music that I learned who Ross was, who is the writer. He writes for like Pink and Ariana Grande, Maroon 5. Yeah, like he's.
What is like your favorite of his pop songs?
Dangerous Woman. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just like this dude writes just like bangers. So he had written this thing called The Wrong Man. It was like 40, 50 minutes of music at the time, like 15 years ago. And so Lack and Tommy had heard it and kind of like weaseled him into maybe like entertaining an adaptation of it. And I think Ross heard Josh Henry sing a couple of the songs and was like, okay, like what would you like to do? So and then we did a little lab in May, and MCC was excited to do it, and so like now we're here doing it. It's pretty cool.
So the fantastic Josh Henry, Ciara Renee, and you're Men in Black, right? And an amazing ensemble too. I mean, this is one of those shows where you kind of fall in love with everybody on the stage.
Totally.
It's one of those amazing cast, like just brilliant casting. So talk about the Men in Black, and actually you also play the lead on Sundays. Is that right?
Yeah. So I do like it's like an alternate situation where like it's kind of cool.
Like Christine Daae.
Yes, of course.
Different.
Yes. It's honestly not different. No, it's like it's what's cool about it is I think sort of the staging of the show was born out of this idea that it's a show about a man who's wrongfully convicted of murder. So it's the staging of it was born out of this idea that it can happen to anybody, sort of. And so I think Tommy initially was wanting there to be flexibility in who it was who's like selected to go through this, like, and we're all like playing parts in that story. So yeah, so one performance a week, it's me, and then it's like an odd thing because a lot of people come and see the show and they see you as like this irredeemable person who's the Man in Black who like commits the murder and frames Josh's character, and then they'll come back and be like, oh, that's the guy that we saw. It's like, wow, now I feel sorry for this man. Like, but yeah, it's a really cool character. It's like, it's an odd thing because it serves as kind of the comic relief in the show, but it's the person who actually did the crime that you're feeling so sorry for this person being convicted of. So it's a really weird, like, sort of human impulse to need to release, and you see the person who actually did it walk on stage, and you're like, now I can relax. It's like, ooh, yikes. But so that's like it's a cool kind of, like two sides of the coin.
Right. You obviously, Tommy Kail, as you mentioned, did he cast you in Hamilton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that first tour that went through California.
Right,
So
okay.
yeah. So they cast that. They put it through the like Tommy and Lack and Andy and everybody were there through our rehearsal process and everything. So we like
Lack is Alex Lacamoire.
Yes, Alex
Super
Lacamoire.
talented.
Yes,
I mean, part of the Hamilton.
beyond
I got it.
talented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just like the greatest people like at what they do. So it's amazing. So yeah, so I had known Tommy and Alex through Hamilton and the sort of like years I spent there, and they're always checking in on the show. So it's like it's a family affair over there.
Yeah, you famously have played a lot of roles in Hamilton. So you did it on tour, and then you did it on Broadway, right?
Yeah.
You played Alexander Hamilton. You played Aaron Burr, George Washington, Hercules Mulligan, James Madison, Lafayette / Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
That's a lot of history.
Yes,
you,
it is. Yes.
played a lot
I know the era well.
I'm sure you do. You're a bit of a historian.
Yes, a rap historian.
And I believe you're are you still the only actor who've done all that?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a very, obviously like a dense show. I always laugh when they come and see the show. They're like, oh, my daughter knows all the words. And I'm like, I bet she does. I bet she doesn't get in trouble when she forgets them. So it's like, but yeah, it's like a total like 360 view of the show. That's like obviously an amazing show to have that view of. So it's really cool. Yeah.
It's kind of like a weird skill to have. Like
yeah, and it took a long time to get there. Obviously, like I only picked up Thomas Jefferson and James Madison when I got to the Broadway company. So it's like it kind of happened in a way that was piecemeal enough to take all the information in. But when we went on tour with Hamilton, Josh was Aaron Burr. So like I covered Josh there, and then that's part of why like doing this is so special to do with him, because like he's just like an A+ person and performer and everything. So it's really cool to like see this kind of like journey for him. It's awesome.
Yeah. The Wrong Man is also, I believe, the theatrical debut of Travis Wall. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Who's an amazing choreographer. And the work he's done on this show is stunning. I mean, in some parts I felt like I was at like a dance company watching a dance piece, because it's really beautifully staged. What was it like working with him and learning seeing that come together?
Totally. Yeah, I worked with Travis a lot more than I thought I was going to, actually, and I think a lot of people feel
you're like,
that
I just
way.
get to sort of stand around.
Well, yeah, I
and
mean,
block
and usually, like, I mean,
Right.
I am not like a dancer by trade, so like going in thinking I was going to be sort of like just standing there while people moved around you, and then my numbers became like very movement heavy, and like there's a number in the jail, like that's it's towards the end of the show, that's like this, basically the closest thing we have to like a production number that's like a huge movement thing, like so it was really cool. It's amazing. Like Travis would come in and Tommy would say like, yeah, I think this number could use some movement. And Travis just would listen to the song. He'd be like, can we just like play it a few times and you guys just sing it? And he would just kind of like groove in his own like head for like 2 or 3 passes, and then would just have the number staged completely.
Wow.
Like it's just like a mind. It's like Tommy or Alex Lacamoire, like you're just looking at them like, the gears that are turning in there are just like beyond your comprehension. Like, whatever's about to come out is just going to be something that's genius, and you just trust it. And even if at the beginning you're like, I don't really see it, it's like, I just know you have to go along for the ride, because like you're gonna be safe. Like it's it's amazing. Yeah.
So was your Broadway debut in Wicked?
It was.
That was your first show. Okay.
Yeah.
And you covered Fiero? Did you go on for Fiero?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
So
was
you've
like my
worn the
first.
white pants.
Yes, I've worn the white pants. I've fallen on my back in the 360 little tour he does at the end. I've done all of the raked stage realness over there at the Gershwin. Yeah.
And you were also in the original company of Waitress. These are all like shows people really love. You got really lucky with like credits for things that people are obsessed with.
Yeah. Only shows where you can joke about them closing and it's actually funny. It's like, 10 empty seats in the Gershwin. You're like, oh no. And yeah, you can't make those jokes everywhere. So yeah.
And like when Waitress first started, who knew that it would connect in this way? I mean, the music was so
Totally.
stunning in the story, but it's been really amazing, and it's coming to an end. But it's been such a long journey for that show.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and like how it's sort of like navigated through. Like, I mean, so many people now have been in and out of those roles.
Yeah.
It's like, and how it changes is just like, it's so cool. It was so cool to be there for the beginning of it. Like, people love Sarah's music, and I love Sarah's music.
Yeah.
So even starting, like, we were all kind of like, ooh, and there were a couple of us who hadn't done it out of town who were coming in like, are we gonna meet Sarah? And then of course she's there like every day, like dawn to dusk, like it's just like the coolest person. So yeah, that was a really, really fun experience.
You went to University of Michigan.
I did.
Which is where a lot of Broadway stars start, right? Was it competitive?
Yeah, totally.
Were there people we know that you sort of know from that you were in school with?
Erica Henningsen was in my class
we know
there,
her.
like one of like only like 20 of us. So we were Stephanie Stiles was in that class also. Ashley Park like lived in my building upstairs of me. She was a year above me.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean a ton of people. Joe Carroll was in the program at the same time too. Like I'm sure I'm missing people and like laughing at it, but yeah, like Under Pressure, those are the names I remember.
No, that's pretty
The beautiful women.
When did the Broadway dream start, or did it not start as a Broadway dream?
No, it totally did.
Okay,
it
really?
Totally did. Yeah, like I did. So it's funny. My first musical ever was Schoolhouse Rock Live.
Oh, yeah.
At Children's Musical Theater of San Jose. Not to be confused with School of Rock, which many people think I mean somehow.
Schoolhouse Rock
I'm
is
like,
based
wow,
on a
thank you.
classic
Fresh face,
TV
I
show
guess.
from the 70s.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those
So,
classic
yeah,
songs.
I'm just a Bill, like the whole deal.
Yeah.
So, and Alex Brightman was
Of School of Rock fame.
Yeah, exactly. Ironically, it was like a few years older than me in this children's theater, and so I grew up being like, this guy is like really got it. Like I think like maybe if I just like followed this dude, so like went to the same like Jesuit private high school, all boys high school that he went to, like was just like, I guess I'll just do everything this guy's doing.
Wow,
It seems like it's working. Like, and there I was, and so yeah, but since then,
This is
like,
very single white female. Like you basically we're just trying to be Alex Brightman.
literally, yeah.
Did he know
it's a
that? Did
demographic,
you
like-
meet him and say,
Oh,
I'm
totally.
going to try to be you?
I mean, and
I'm
I
following
mean,
you, dude.
Just like, yeah, like it's working. So like, let me know if one of these things doesn't work, and I just won't do that. Like, yeah. So yeah, and then found myself like I only applied to Michigan like for theater. I was like, this is something that I think like if it works out and I get to go here, then that's amazing. And if not, I'll just study something else. And
Wow.
and so and like ended up in New York, and then it's crazy. You're like, when I was at the Gershwin doing Wicked, like School of Rock is like across from there, and Alex is like, and I'm just like, this is so like bizarre. It's just utterly bizarre.
So what's it been like the last few years, sort of making a name for yourself and getting, I've heard your name thrown around and super talent, rising
Nice.
talent. We're talking about you.
Nice.
What's it been like, sort of making your name in this industry? Has it felt kind of easy?
I mean, for sure, no.
Okay.
I will say, like, I think a lot of people attribute success to this kind of like fate thing that's just like, oh yeah, you were just, I mean, people from your hometown say that a lot when you're in New York. It's like, you were just destined to do that because you moved to New York. And it's like, well, moving to New York with like $200,000 of student debt and like, like starting and needing to book work and like getting auditions and not being like, I'll look at that, like, diving. It's like, it's all, I attribute like all of it to just an insane, almost like psychotic work ethic, I think. And then on top of that, like, of course you are blessed and lucky to be in the place that you are. But I mean, it's, like it seems, I feel like, when you're really working for it, like you suffer from like an imposter syndrome type of thing, like the whole time. And then finally, when you like come up for air a little bit, you're like, oh wait, like I can like feel the work like on my back a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm, I don't know, it sounds kind of funny, but like I'm very like proud of where I'm at for sure.
Yeah, you should be. This is kind of random, but I want to ask you about Daryl.
Yes.
Because you've actually played Daryl, and I love The Outsiders. I grew up with The Outsiders. It's like my favorite movie and novel. S.E. Hinton was like my jam. All four of those novels. Anyway.
Yes.
That was Then This Is Now, Rumblefish, all of them.
Yes.
Anyway,
Wild, right?
I love all that stuff. But you were in like a workshop of that musical. Like they made a musical out of The Outsiders. I just have to ask because I'm personally really
Journalism.
invested in the
I
outside.
am all about it. I'm all about
Okay,
it.
cool.
Yes.
You were Daryl, which is the Patrick Swayze role from the movie.
Yes. So yeah, we did a workshop of this show. This band, Jamestown Revival, who's like these two guys, this like folksy kind of like Americana feeling. So perfect music for that like Oklahoma vibe.
Yeah.
You know? And Liesl Tommy directed it, who's like a genius also, and. Justin Levine did like a lot of the arranging and kind of is working in tandem with them to kind of make it more of like a musical feel, which I feel like a lot of these shows benefit from when they have artists who are just writing these like emotive songs. They're like, well, check this out. Like, and the collaboration in there was so cool. I knew, I was familiar with the story and all of that, but I knew not a lot about the project. And like when we finished, I was just like obsessed with the show. So it's going to the Goodman.
I know.
And yeah,
maybe you'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things happening, but maybe okay. I can't wait. I'm definitely going to Chicago. To see
yeah, you will not be.
I'm like I'm gonna buy the merch. Like
yeah.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, it's so great. There are songs in there that are just like weepy songs. Where you're like, I mean, it's really good.
Is there a song called "Stay Golden Pony"?
There sure is.
Okay,
There's a song called "Stay Gold," and that is the one I'm referring to.
Weepy one.
Yeah.
Well, it must be so cool that you're involved in the development of things. The Wrong Man and the Outsiders. I mean, that's such a cool place to be, and to start like seeing how these things get built.
That's the best part. Those corny hoodies that New 42 sells. It's like rehearsal is the best part. It's true. Because once you get into the show, it's like just technically, even though you're finding new things, it's like you're doing the same thing every single day.
Yep.
And in the development of it, it's like you can walk in and have like true creative control, being like, hey, like this just isn't vibing with me, so let's make it vibe. Just because you're not wanting anything to be cut or anything like that. You're just like, I want to help you as an actor, like understand what this moment is. And like, even when you don't continue with shows, those are the coolest things to go see. And you're like, oh, whoa, like I can see why I'm not in that anymore. Like, or it's like, I can see like how that got tooled, it's really cool.
Yeah. And now 20 years from now, you're gonna be able to go see like Waitress or Hamilton in community theater and be like, I helped develop.
And like, I directed this production. My kids are doing so well. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Hey, Caitlin, what are the people online saying?
Yeah, so Kenzie wants to know that what has been the most surprising part of your experience with The Wrong Man so far?
For sure. I think part of the thing that's unique about not unique, but the coolest thing about it, I think, is that it's all sung through. It's like this pop score that's that has like movements of music in addition to songs, but there's no book scenes or anything. And I think getting the style of that down, it's so abstract. Like the cool thing about walking into the first day of rehearsal was like, this could be anything. Like this could be us standing at mics singing the whole score and it would be effective, and it could be movement based, which now it sort of is, which is super effective too. So I think it was just getting all on the same page of like, is this moment that is out of time, like heightened, there's this duet that two of the dancers perform. That's where Mariana is killed, and there's this it's like this knife like duet, and Sierra and I are just standing like locked eyes at each other the whole time, and it's like I'm like moved to like tears like dripping because it's just like the intensity of it, and then you step out of that, you're like, is this like the right style? Like, is it, am I just like going through this for my own like therapeutic thing, or like but yeah, so it was kind of like getting all on that same page, which I think we did. So yeah, that was really challenging.
It came out of like a concept album.
Totally.
That's sort of what, it was like an animated version of it too.
Yeah,
right?
Ross released an animated film that was at Tribeca that accompanied his release of the concept album. The coolest thing about it is, like, I can't talk enough about the show. Is like he performed it all only live. He would never record it. So the concept album is 15 years in the making, but he just released it because he was being flown to like Sydney, Australia, all sorts of places, because people were like, I've heard of The Wrong Man and I want to hear it, but there's no recording. Wow. So Tommy and Lack only heard it because Kurt Deutsch, who's producing it, was in one of these living rooms hearing like him jam out and do it. So so it's a unique like birth of this thing for sure.
Hi Kurt, how you doing?
Yes. Cool. Yeah. So Jack wants to know that if you have any dream roles, the usual question.
Yes, the usual question. Okay, when I was a kid, I've probably seen Phantom of the Opera like 20 times.
Stop, same.
I cannot stop because and
obsessed. I love it.
from age like 8 to it was the first show I ever saw, first
Okay.
professional show I ever saw. My mother, who's a principal at a K through 8, I was in like first grade, I think. And the 7th and 8th graders were going to see Phantom of the Opera, and she was like, "You can go, but you have to be silent and you have to be good." And like the whole
Wow.
it's like the way I talk to my dog. I'm like, "You can come in here with me, but you can't do a bark." And so I'm like, I'm like at this theater and was just like mind blown. And they did like a talk back at the end, and I remember like one of the kids being like, the end, like, how does he get out from under the sheet, like, when he disappears? And I was like, oh, like, that was something I was curious about, too. And, of course, they're like, that's the one thing we cannot tell. And I was like, I'm going to play this role just so I can know.
You want to play the Phantom?
Yeah.
I'm so into that.
It'll
into
still
it.
be around.
Yeah, let's make that
I'm
happen.
confident.
I know
Yeah.
how they do it. Because somebody I know from college played the Phantom and he showed me. So thank you. Thank you, whoever showed me.
I don't
Yeah, it's really
want to
cool.
know.
It's not
You'll know
it's,
when you
it's
play the
magic.
That's what I'm saying. I'll know on my 5th day of rehearsal.
Yeah. I like that plan. And
Yeah.
have you ever sung that music?
Oh, I mean, like, in private.
And this is also like because your resume can only have shows people are obsessed with.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, I have to only do
Yeah.
shows with
long-running
big fan
epics.
bases.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. We could do one last question. I like this one. So Maxine says, you're doing this show, which is based off a concept album, and then Outsiders, which is a book. Do you have, if there's a piece of content or pulp culture that you would like to become a musical, whether it be
Oh.
music or a song
That
or...
is so cool.
Well, the Outsiders happened for me. I don't have an answer, but he might.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I think there's a lot of TV right now. I feel like we're in sort of like a TV revolution. And I just finished, not even just, it's just still on my mind. I watched that show Years and Years on HBO. It's like,
Oh my
about,
God,
like,
that was the first episode like blew my mind.
Yes,
oh
the
my
whole
God,
thing
the
just,
whole thing.
like,
I know.
yeah.
I know.
And-
It's a British show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like about like a sort of dystopian future.
Yes.
It's like, and I feel like that is, the show The Watchmen on HBO now. It's kind of like a dystopian, scary, but so clever in the way that they're thinking about how sort of the world is going to progress. And
Wow.
I feel like that sort of like, dystopian, like almost like 1984 vibe, like hasn't like been cracked really. Like it's kind of these things that have only existed in the past. I'd be curious to see like where something like that would go, but that's a good question.
So you're saying Years and Years you think would be
or something
adapted
like
or
it, like
something
some
similar?
yeah,
like-
that's going to be a sad musical, but like something that's kind
Yeah.
of like a thinking sort of forward about how things could go rather
Yeah.
than
There would be a lot of Stay Golden Pony Boy moments.
yeah,
in
a
that
lot.
musical.
Yeah,
Got really
yeah.
sad.
I
as
don't
it
know if
went.
Act 2 is going to be watchable.
One act.
80 minutes in and out.
Okay, so The Wrong Man is playing for 2 more weeks, right?
Yeah.
You're in the last 2 weeks, and on Sunday, so you're the Man in Black, and then on Sunday you're
Yeah, this Sunday
The
and then
Wrong Man.
the following Tuesday, the Wrong
options.
Man.
There's
yeah.
options. You can see him play different roles.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sick of
fun.
hearing about how great you are. It's nice to finally meet you.
Sweet, same.
Hey, Caitlin, why don't you take us out?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single weekday here on Facebook. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts by searching for #live@5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We talk to Jasmine Cephas Jones all about Cyrano.